Good morning, Millennial Morticians. Happy Wednesday morning. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of this incredible podcast. I have something that's going to motivate you, that's going to give you energy this week, and I hope you guys are ready to receive it. The title of today's episode is called Prominent Figure. Prominent Figure. I got the title for today's episode because I thought about people in the world right now who are making huge impacts in their day-to-day lives, in their industries, and what it takes for you to fulfill the role of being that prominent figure in your community. And what does it mean to be a prominent figure? In my opinion, a prominent figure is someone who stands out, who's making an active difference, an active change in their community, in their field, who's engaging, who's exciting, who's invigorating, someone that doesn't show managerial skills, but mostly leadership skills. Because leaders create other leaders. And I feel like the prominent figures, they're really keen on getting people out there that are doing what they're doing and giving them the formula to be successful. And so this week, I want you to look in your funeral home and I want you to make a decision. Are you the prominent figure in your funeral home, or is someone else in the building a prominent figure at your funeral home? And I want you to be so careful as to say to yourself, I want my funeral home to be a place where everyone's a prominent figure. From the person you meet at the desk, to the funeral attendant, to the mortician in the back, to the funeral director meeting with the family. Everyone has a prominent figure role in that funeral home because they're all in the healing business. They're all in the business of helping people heal, helping people feel better, helping people get better. And what I've noticed is, over time, with the way the economy is, the way the world is going, there's been a decline in prominent figures. And it's really sad because the world needs you, the community needs you, and your role is so pivotal. Because one thing you notice about prominent figures is, and I don't know if you guys have caught on, when they walk into the room, people notice their presence. You are noticed, you are felt, because you're making such a big impact. People notice when certain people aren't in the room or aren't working at the funeral home or aren't there. The presence is just different. And that's not to say that the staff isn't good and they can't handle business, but it just means that that prominent figure, that person that creates a different atmosphere, that isn't, they aren't there and they're missed. And so what I've noticed is if you plant that prominent figure seed in everyone in your staff, it can make a heck of a difference. Because anyone can feel that same love through any people in your staff. So somebody can be out, somebody can be sick, and you always have a prominent figure on site, someone who's just and this is the thing, this is the beauty of being a prominent figure. God has blessed all of us with different gifts, I believe, in abilities, and this is definitely a blessing that we have on our lives to do the work that we do. But that prominent figure, they all don't have to have the same gifts. They all can have different gifts, different talents, different ways of talking to families, different ways of greeting. And when you put all those people in a box together under one roof together, the amount of impact you can make is tremendous. But we have to be intentional on finding people who fit that description, who fit that role, who want to make that kind of difference in their lives, in other people's lives. And I think we always see the good side of being a prominent figure, but you have to understand everything comes at a cost. And so, what is it going to cost me to be being a prominent figure? It means you're going to be tired. There's going to be days when you don't want to talk to people. There's going to be days when you're not going to feel like you have that healing touch inside of you because you yourself are grieving. You yourself are trying to better your own life and heal yourself. And there's a huge weight on prominent figures. And so what I'm trying to encourage you guys to do is not only become prominent figures, but do it in a way where you're minimizing the weight of the job, because it's a heavy role. It's a big shoe to fill. And you don't want to feel like you're just taking on weight and not taking on the responsibilities that you want to do in helping people. And so I believe firmly that everybody that watches this podcast, all my Millennial Morticians out there, all the people who are attached to this network, to this podcast, you guys are prominent figures where you are. Because I know this because you guys are willing to watch and sit with me every Wednesday morning and take the information that we learn throughout the week and take it back to your funeral home and actually apply it to your day to day. That's how I know you guys are prominent figures. You guys are about making change and bringing change and influencing people and cultivating an atmosphere of success. And it's a lot of work and it's a lot of pressure, but you're a prominent figure. I don't know if anybody's ever told you that, but I'm going to be the first to tell you, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, you're in this industry. Oh my goodness, you're a prominent figure. People get excited to see you. You're a game changer. You're a money maker. You're a business person. You're a leader. You are dynamic. This is a game of you play an amazing game of chess and not checkers, because you're prominent. And everything that you do, even though some days I know what we do is very repetitive, it doesn't feel like you're making an impact, but you are. People are watching you. People do feel what you're doing. It's not for nothing. All of this stuff is for something, with the end goal, with the end output. What you get in this business, what you put out of it. And I'm not saying burn yourself out, because it's very easy to get burned out in this industry. I'm saying begin to carve the ins and outs of how you want to be that prominent figure in your community and in your funeral home. What do you want to be known for? What do you want your brand to represent? That's a part of the prominent figure role, is for you to cut out, carve a plan, a master plan of how you want things to run, of how you want the business to be, of how you want to change lives. Because what this business is about at the end of the day is changing lives and touching people's hearts. And that's what we all signed up for. I signed up for it, and to help people heal. And a part of that healing, a part of the reward you get on the back end for doing this business, is you become a prominent figure. And you have to represent yourself differently. You have to dress differently. You have to smile differently. Things change because you're assuming a role and position in your community where people expect you to be there to help them and to help them heal. And it's an amazing responsibility the more and more I'm feeling into the role, into the position. And I'm seeing things from a totally different perspective, that there really isn't anything you can compare this to. This calling is seriously on another level. And a lot of people, they assume that what we do is easy just because of the way we look, the way we carry ourselves, and the way we handle business. But that's a cultivation of different things. That's the cultivation of the funeral home we work at, the mortuary school we attend, the people who help train us and give us the skills. You've been doing it so well that it looks flawless. And from that work, from that flawlessness, people begin to start to notice you, like, who is that person? Or what's his name? Or you begin to fill in that prominent figure role, that position, that figurehead, because your work speaks for you. And the way our generation is, the way things are changing, I want everyone out there's work to speak for them. And understand that you're prominent. You're somebody. You're somebody to someone in that funeral home. Whether it was just getting them an umbrella out the car, helping them, guiding them down the stairs, helping push a wheelchair maybe into the service, helping push their wheelchair into the service, anything, the big or the small, you're prominent. You're somebody. You matter. You count. And I know there's days where the stress of the job that we do, is beyond measure, and we'll never truly understand why we are called to do this. Because there's days all the time I'm like, wow, I was called to do this. This is special. This is intimate. And that's what I love about the job. It's intimate. And when you get something like that, it's hard to ever leave, because you feel the love there. So this week, your homework is create prominent figures in your building, in your funeral home. Train them, cultivate them, and use their gifts to promote their prominence in whatever they want to do. And if it's giving people hugs, if it's talking to people, if it's meeting with families, if it's doing makeup, create an environment where anybody can be a prominent figure in your funeral home. And the force that you're able to create is outstandingly greater. The last thing you want to do is have just one prominent figure in your funeral home. That prominent figure passes away, and your funeral home enters into chaos and turmoil. We see it happen all the time. So your job this week, create prominent figures throughout your building, throughout your franchise, and watch the doors that open up for you. Because then people won't just be relying on one person. They'll rely on your brand and on your team to make things better. Well, guys, I'm your Millennial Mortician, Jaden Folks. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of this incredible podcast. Remember, This is the podcast that engraves. You guys have a blessed week. Stay warm out there and stay safe. I love you guys. See you in the next one.